Hello and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead, and this week I am trying something new. I have went back and forth with having longer videos and shorter videos and medium-sized videos and videos that are specialized in certain topics. This week I am just going to put a conglomeration of a little bit of everything of what we have done throughout the week here on the homestead, and a recipe toward the end. Yes, we'll still be doing some cooking in the kitchen, but I just wanted to try something different, see how you like it. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, give it a comment, give it a share. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But we're just going to be showing you a little bit of what's been going on around here. Now, there will be some voiceover on part of this because the wind has been blowing to beat the bands. We have that every time the seasons change around here. There's like 2 days out of the year that the wind isn't blowing. So, voiceover on part of it, that's the only way you're going to hear what's happening. But I do hope you enjoy it. And let's get going. As you can tell, we are outside today. The sun hasn't even broke up over the horizon yet, but we are getting an early start because we've got a lot to do. And we thought we would bring you along today just to see a little bit of what we've got going on. The wind decided to come up along with the sun, so this is just a quick glance of the garden. Every year I change my layout. The only thing that stays the same are those raised beds there. These tubs are new, kind of new. They're mineral tubs that we use to feed the cows with. We save those and reuse them for different things. This year I've gathered up a bunch of them, and I am using those to plant my perennial medicinals and herbal plants in, because when I plant them in the beds, they tend to get uprooted and moved around. So this kind of gives each one of them a permanent home. I only have seeds planted yet, so really nothing there to show. But these are my raised beds. Eventually I'm going to have to redo those. But I decided to get an early start on some of my beans. This is my runner beans, my long beans. And yes, it's a little early to be planting those. And these are some marigold seeds that the little neighbors gave me. And I love marigolds. And they are really good to plant in amongst your beans because it helps with a lot of your pest problems. But as I was saying, it's a little early here for me to be planting beans, but I wanted to, since it's been so warm, I decided I'm just going to go ahead, soak them overnight like I need to, and just get some in the ground. It is still early enough that if they get killed back, I can start over and I'll still have plenty of time. But I am going to plant a different one on each one of these hoops that I've got, because I love having them grow up and over the hoops. It makes them so much easier to pick, and it just gives them more growing room and gives me more room in my beds. So I am just coming along here and using my little, I call it snakehead trowel, to just kind of make a furrow along there that I will end up putting my beans down into. Last year was the first year that I grew the yard-long beans, and I fell in love with them. I love the taste of them. I love the fact that you can pick like 3 bean pods and that's a mess of beans because they are truly a yard long. But they're so tender. I was afraid they were going to get tough, but they didn't. They stayed tender, they were easy to snap, they didn't have a lot of string on them, and so I made sure that I had some to plant this year. I also liked planting the runner beans, those 2 runner beans that I planted last year. I'm planting again this year. I had all of these seeds, as you could tell from the seed packets, other than the marigolds, came from Baker Creek. I do love Baker Creek. I know some people may not, but that's okay. But I get a lot of my seeds from Baker Creek. For one thing, they're in the Ozarks. I'm in the Ozarks. You know, it's not that far of a drive. If I just want to run up the road and go get some, I can. Or if I have them mailed to me, they're here in just a few days. So I do like Baker Creek seeds. They're very viable, or always have been for me. So I get a lot of my seeds from them. But I also save seeds as well. I enjoy seed saving, and I enjoy getting seeds from other people. Just like those marigold seeds. As I said, I love marigolds. My mama always had marigolds and zinnias in her vegetable garden, and I make sure that I plant them in mine. Now, here I am going through and I'm planting these beans. I'm planting them about, 4 to 6 inches apart. That may not be what's recommended on the packet. That may not be what's recommended by most gardeners. But if you've seen any of my other gardening videos, if you've seen, especially once the summer progresses and you've seen my beds, you'll notice that they are very crowded. You can see no dirt in them. I do that, but I call it intensive gardening, and everything is very crowded in because if there's no room for weeds to grow, weeds don't tend to grow there, I've found, and I don't seem to have the pest problems because I don't like putting poison in my garden. So I plant everything very thickly, and I've never had a problem with it affecting my productivity of my garden. And so that's just the way I do things. And I'm coming in here and I'm interspersing the marigold seeds in between the beans. And as they come up, they'll all grow in happy together. But I've done this with each one of these beans. I did not start my green beans yet. I will come back later and plant my green beans in there. But right now I'm just going to come along and just cover up them seeds, and I'll water them in and just let them go. And while we were working outside, we noticed that one of our mama cows was laying off by herself, and it was about time for our new crop of calves for 2026 to get started. And sure enough, she was going to be number one in what ended up being a very busy week among our cows. And she has a beautiful baby here. Good mama. She had just delivered and was tending to her baby. So cute. And of course, trying to get up, those little wobbly legs at first. You want to help them so bad, and you're cheering them on, but it eventually gets the hang of it. And down at the edge of the woods and down into the woods, our chickens were scratching and enjoying the beautiful weather that we were having. And we also decided that it was a perfect day for us to do some sawmilling. So my husband gets out there and he cuts a log to length and we get started doing some cutting because we still have a chicken house to finish siding.
Just play as we play with wood, you think you get to play with wood.
Whew, it is a good thing her favorite swimming hole is nearby. And we've got tired of messing with these covers that are for the door, for the windows on the side by side. It is warm enough now. We decided to just go ahead and take them off. Even though we'll have some cool days, we won't need them that much longer. So we're just taking them off, and we'll store them away and wait for next winter to put them back on. And as we worked, we had to keep checking on the baby calf to make sure everything was coming along. And yeah, we're still having some mishaps, but you know, it is the first day. So time to stack some wood. And then, I was getting a little hungry, so some fresh mushrooms and ranch dressing for a snack, and back outside we go, because you know what? It is too pretty to be stuck inside. And by now, it is getting close to feeding time. Everybody starts gathering up because it is like everybody punches a time clock around here. They know when it's feeding time. So let's make another round out through the field just to make sure that everybody is okay and to gather some eggs. Hi, Bonnie. You're a good girl. Okay, Mama Cow and Baby are still doing good. They're so cute. And she is taking her little one back over to visit with the other cows and get to meet his new aunties. And every day when we gather eggs around here, it is an Easter egg hunt, because even though we have a chicken coop with nest boxes, our hens are free range and they lay pretty much everywhere but in the nest boxes. But as you can see, we have quite a few eggs here, and this is going to be one of our main ingredients in our recipe that'll be coming up here in just a little bit. And I took Pepper for a ride out into the field so she could watch her dad as he drags the field. Now, if you're not familiar with what this means, that means that the fertilizer that's left behind by the cows is drug by it's just some wiring and old tires and an old fence post that gets drug around the pasture occasionally, that spreads out the manure and provides a natural fertilizer source for the fields. And that's what he's doing right now. Sometimes he uses the tractor, and this time he's just using the truck. Time for another check of babies, and here's a couple more mamas with their little ones, and two adorable little white faces. So cute. So it's time to come inside and just get a few things accomplished in here. Here we are back in the kitchen, and as I promised, we are going to put together a recipe, and the purpose is to use up some of these eggs. Now, not near enough of these eggs, because this recipe only calls for 4 to 6 regular size eggs. My girls lay really big eggs, and when you put them together, you know, if you get duck eggs too, you know, they're even bigger. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna use about 4 or 5. I'm gonna see how much it's gonna take. But I'm gonna use an unusual ingredient in this that you don't normally find in quiche, but you can use it. This is another one of those episodes where I'm using what I have because I'm not driving to town to get something special. So before you guys switch off that say, I'm not eating quiche, let me tell you, if you are a grill person, if you like smoked food, you might want to hang around for this one because you might find that you actually do like quiche. So don't run off, because this is going to be a quiche recipe that I think pretty much everybody is going to like. So let's get started. Okay, I've got my pie crust rolled out here, and I am doing something a little different. Rather than using my pie plates, I am using my iron skillet, one of my iron skillets. Not quite my biggest one, but larger than the actual cast iron pie plate that I have, because it is, see, it's got to pick up every little piece of blacking off of that skillet, but this is in place of my cast iron pie plate that I have, just because I wanted something a little wider, a little more diameter, and a little deeper, because I don't want the filling to come out. But more importantly, I'm going to be, rather than using a regular pie plate, let me cut off some of this around it. Rather than using my regular pie plate, I'm using this because I'm going to do something a little bit different than what you would normally do with your quiche, and that is I am going to put it on the smoker. Yes, I'm going to put it outside on the pellet stove and let this smoke. Let it get some smoky flavor in with this quiche. But that's not the only surprise that I've got for this quiche that goes outside the norm from what you would usually see quiche made as. But you know that rarely do I do anything normal, so well, I'll start now. So let's see here. I want it to overhang just a little bit because I don't want my crust to draw up. I am not a baker by trade, as any of you bakers by trade can tell. You know, this is not the most beautiful thing, but function over beauty. So I'm going to come in here and just make a little bit of holes in the bottom, because I want to bake this. I'm gonna put it in the oven about 425 for maybe 10 minutes or something. I want this to pre-cook. I'll keep an eye on it, because if it starts puffing up any, I'll make a hole in it and let it go back down. And that's the whole purpose of this, because I don't want to put the raw ingredients into the raw pie crust and it swell up and all the ingredients come out. So I am par baking this, and I will put this in the oven and get started on the filling. And this is our quiche crust. So it has got to cool off some before I start adding any ingredients. It was down in the 30s last night and it's warming up slowly, but I am going to get the smoker cranked up so it can be ready for our quiche. And I have got this set on 350 degrees because that is the temperature I'm going to smoke this quiche at. And as you can see, it is 45 degrees in there right now, so it's going to be just a little bit before it's ready, but that'll give us time to get our quiche filling mixed up. And I'm going to be just getting our filling ready while that grill is heating up outside. I've got it set at 350 degrees, but it is only, I think 45 on the interior of that smoker right now. So it's going to take it a little bit to get heated up, which is okay. That way we're not rushed getting our filling together. Now, I said that this would be a quiche that most anybody would like. Now, you may not eat pork. You may not eat meat at all. You may not be able to eat meat if you have something like alpha-gal. Or, it may be a religious preference. However, you know what the wonderful thing about quiche is? And something you're going to see demonstrated today is quiche is kind of like stir fry. It is one of those recipes where you can use up what you have. And what we're using today, for the most part, is going to be one item is canned goods that I've got that I canned. And I'm going to use a jar of it. And another thing is some leftovers that I had from supper the other night. And then this is just, you see me cutting this up. This is jowl from a hog. This is not bacon. You could use bacon. Bacon's wonderful, but I had some hog jowl in the freezer that I had thawed, so this is just a little bit of it, and I'm going to put it in there. That helps lend a little bit of a smoky flavor. And then I'm going to show you these other ingredients that I just have that I'm going to be using, but you can use whatever you want to in your quiche, whatever you like. You could make a Southwest using corn and beans and, that sort of thing, chorizo, or whatever that you prefer in your quiche. Brisket, just anything could go into a quiche and it be good. But you use what you have and what you like, and this is what we have. So let me show you what I'm going to put together with it. If you're wondering why I had to let this cool off before I started putting filling in it, it is because you want a crispier crust. And if you put your ingredients in it while this crust is still warm, it could make it have a soggy bottom, and nobody wants a soggy bottom. So ingredients that go in it, you could put raw vegetables in here that cook rapidly if you want, but I am going to put some leftover asparagus and mushrooms that I had fixed the other night for supper. And if you're wondering what that is that's on them, see, like right here, some of that's garlic, some of it's butter, because I sauteed them in butter. And so I am just putting my leftover asparagus and mushrooms in there because they are seasoned so wonderfully, tasted so good, that I don't want them to go to waste, and I thought those would be wonderful in the quiche. So I am just spooning those right into the bottom there. Again, you use, if you don't like asparagus, if you can't stand the mushroom, but you like some other vegetable, if you like spinach, spinach quiche is wonderful. Sun-dried tomato quiche is wonderful. I don't know that I've ever met a quiche I didn't like, so I'm not sure what you could put in it that I wouldn't like. So that is my first layer, but I'm not going to stop there. Okay, so let me go get the rest of it. Now this next that's going in, again, you use what you've got and what you like, but this is just some onions, and you could saute up some fresh onion if you want, but you know, I can onions, and you know, I've got a bunch of new onions planted already, so I need to use up what I've got canned back there to make room for the new stuff this year. So these are just some canned onions that I had. These are so good to just pull off the shelf and use in recipes, and they're so sweet. I don't know if you've ever cooked onions on the grill and just how they become sugary sweet. These canned onions, that's how they are as well. So there we go. That is that layer. Now I'm going to come in here. I was just going to dump that in there, but I think I want it sprinkled a little better. Come in here with that jowl. And I thought I had it cut, but apparently I didn't cut it very well, so let's pull it apart and spread that around, because, you know, we want a bite of that. We want some of that in every bite. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, there we go. And that is that portion of the filling, so let's make the egg portion of the filling. So I went with 5 eggs. And I'm just gonna whisk them up a little bit. Now I could drag out a mixer if I wanted to, my little hand mixer, but you know what? Why? I mean, you don't have to beat them to death. I'm not trying to make, you know, some fancy dessert. I just need them beat up just a little bit. And even though I said that those vegetables were seasoned perfectly, I don't want bland eggs in there, taken away from the flavor. So just a little salt and pepper. Of course, you can never have too much garlic. It's good for you, and it tastes good. And of course, very rarely do I cook something that doesn't have pepper flakes in it. Optional, completely optional. Any of this stuff is optional. It's to your flavor. And I'm using a little bit of ground mustard, because that just kind of gives it a little kick. And something I've been using a lot of, and I'm going to have to go get some more of, is just some ground turmeric. I've been using that in a lot of recipes lately, especially everything that I cook for myself, because turmeric is an anti-inflammatory and is so good for those stiff joints and aches and pains, and I love it, and it helps, and anything that helps is good by me. Now the next thing I'm putting in here is cheese. And you put however much cheese you want in yours. If you don't like cheese, that's fine. This is about, oh, probably a hefty cup. Probably closer to about a cup and a half. But alright, now what are we missing? Normally, a recipe for quiche will call for milk, or more commonly will call for heavy cream. I have neither. What I'm going to use today is that special ingredient, and I don't know if you've ever heard of doing this before, but I'm using some buttermilk. And that's about a cup of buttermilk, and I'm going to mix it up and see what I think it looks like. See if that's enough. Now, if you're going, oh my gosh, no buttermilk in mine. Guys, this is not going to taste like you took a big swig of buttermilk. This is just going to add some extra creaminess, delicious flavor. You know, there's a lot of like buttermilk biscuits and buttermilk pancakes. Do they taste like you're eating buttermilk? No. And neither will this. This is going to be some good stuff. And I think that might be enough. I could add some more buttermilk, but I think that's enough. So I'm gonna trade places here. Push that over there. And I'm just going to pour this right over the top. Okay, there we go. Now, as big as this is, I probably could have went with a little more buttermilk, but you know, I think that's going to puff up and be fine. Okay, there we go. Just spreading it out a little bit, getting it where I want it. What you think? Think that looks okay? Now, of course, we can come in here. Now, of course, we can come in here with some more cheese. What's your favorite kind of cheese? What do you like? Mozzarella, cheddar, Gouda, Swiss. What do you like? What's your least favorite cheese? For me, oddly enough, as much as I like cheese, my least favorite is Swiss, because to me it just does not have enough cheese flavor. I like strong cheeses. I like to make noise, apparently. I like extra sharp cheddar, and yeah, I like cheeses that taste like cheese. and so Swiss is not my favorite. But what is your favorite? Well, this is ready to go out on the smoker, and I will be smoking it for, it could go anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. It just has to be set in the middle, and once it is, and I say set in the middle, it don't have to be hard set. It can still be just a little jiggly in the middle, but you will let it finish setting as it cools. But I'm going to check it at 45 minutes, and if it's done, we'll pull it out. If not, we'll just let it go a few more minutes until it is done. So let's get this on the grill. Alright, I have got a piece cut out of this quiche, and you know that my knife skills are not the best in the world, right? But doesn't that look pretty darn good? Look at this. It is so full of fillings. Just look at that. Alright, let's give it a try. Now, before I take a bite of mine, I want to show you a picture. Now, we had not discussed this. I already knew what I was making for y'all. I had not talked to anyone about what I was doing, but a couple of nights ago, my oldest son sent me a picture and said, "This is the best looking quiche I've ever seen." His wife, my daughter-in-law, had made this quiche, and I have to say, it is probably the prettiest quiche, and here's a picture of it. I am just so blessed, and my sons are blessed that not only are they excellent cooks and know their way around the kitchen, but they all have wives that are also excellent cooks. And so I feel blessed that they are blessed with wonderful women who know their way around the kitchen. So thank you for sharing that quiche. And as I told her, now I feel pressured. Mine is not the prettiest quiche in the world, but it is probably unusual because, again, it is made with buttermilk instead of heavy cream. It was cooked on the smoker instead of in the oven, so that alone just makes it a little different. But let's give it a try to see if it may not pass the looks test, but let's see if it passes a taste test. Okay. It ain't pretty, but boy, it sure is good. I'm gonna have to freeze this up pretty quick or I'll end up eating it all. Wow, that's really good. Buttermilk lends a richness to it. Again, does not impart. I love buttermilk. I can just drink a cup of buttermilk. I love it. I know a lot of people do not. My husband cannot stand buttermilk. I know a lot of other people just, I don't want no buttermilk. This does not taste like buttermilk. No, you don't taste the buttermilk at all, but it gives it a creaminess that if you didn't have heavy cream and you have buttermilk, great substitute. And of course, these vegetables that I have in there, what even makes the asparagus and mushrooms taste even better is I got them for like 50 cents a carton for the mushrooms, and then I think a whole bundle of fresh asparagus was 98 cents. So, you know, savings like that even make it more tasty. But lots of cheese, that hog jowl in there just gives it, of course, that wonderful pork taste if you're a pork person. But again, in quiche, use what you have and you make it for your taste. But this is definitely to my taste. So anyway, I'm gonna finish this up, but before I go, I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, comment. I love y'all, and I appreciate every time I hear from you. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I do hope you subscribe and come back again real soon. Love all of y'all. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.